everybody, welcome back to my channel. How are you doing? Hope you're doing very well. I actually forgot to say in my last video, how dare I, happy August. Yeah, I truly hope that you're living for the hope of it all, but you also better not be cancelling your plans in case he calls, because girls, we can't be doing that. No, we can't be doing that. Not really, not in this economy, absolutely not. The inflation, no. My August is definitely... I feel like I'm being Augusted in August, which is great. But that is for another time. That is for another situation. Anyways, so today we are going to be talking about Spencer and Toby's relationship, because admittedly, so I'm rewatching the show, you know, my usual like 15th rewatch. I feel like I've been quite oblivious to kind of the truth about Spencer and Toby's relationship. It was never something I really picked up on because my focus was elsewhere. Ezra, I am talking about you. But I'm really kind of focusing on this relationship in this rewatch I'm going through, and I really feel like it is something we should talk about, something we should highlight, because actually this relationship is actually very, very toxic. When Toby and Spencer first get together, I really like that relationship. I really liked kind of like the earlier aspects of it. Really enjoyed, I think they were just like they needed each other type of thing. But really, once you get into it and once the relationship kind of progresses, I really think that this relationship is one of the most toxic on the show. Our main focus, like I said, was on Ezra and Arya, as it should. That is one of the worst relationships in history. You know, Caleb and Hannah were kind of set in stone. I don't really like Caleb and Hannah post the time jump. I don't like anything post the time jump though, if I'm being honest. Emily and Allison I've highlighted before as a relationship which I do think was toxic as well. I think a lot of the high school relationships are very toxic within this show. But yeah, it's something that I was a bit naive to be honest. I never really thought much of that relationship until like this rewatch, but I feel like every time I rewatch Pretty Little Liars, I'm kind of discovering something new about it and having a different opinion about it, which is actually quite interesting and quite fun, because I'm still growing. I'm still getting older, maturing. But yeah, the relationship at the start, obviously it was kind of forbidden. Toby was still kind of like the loser of Rosewood, the kind of creep of Rosewood. So it kind of came kind of from nowhere. And obviously Spencer's family were very against that relationship taking place and things like that, which I don't know, I kind of liked them, you know, getting together in that way, and like they love each other very much, and they're just, you know, no matter what people think, they're gonna love each other. And things were sweet, things were good, but I think the point where things start to change is about season 3. This is kind of the time that Toby becomes a police officer and things like that. During this time, Toby became a lot more physically physical towards Spencer, and actually rewatching those scenes back is actually quite uncomfortable. But he does a lot of arm grabbing and a lot of like pushing and pulling and things like that, and it just became a very, right, you don't need to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just don't need to do things like that. Like, you can have a grown-up conversation about whatever it is that they're arguing about. You don't need to get so physical when it came to these things. But it would come to a point where Spencer and Toby were just arguing non-stop towards each other. He would kind of tell her, you can't do this, you can't do this. He would also kind of make her keep secrets from her friends, and that is such a red flag, because girl friendships, girlhood is such a sacred thing, and I wouldn't be the same person I am or make the decisions that I do without my girlfriend's kind of, helping me, realize both point of views, both situations, but also like what's best in this case, what's best for me, what's best for, the other person in the situation. And I'm very pro girlhood. I just think you need, I only have 2 friends. I think it's so important to have those girl figures around you, especially growing up, I'm kind of in my key years. I've just turned 21 2 months ago, so I'm, in my early 20s. I'm still going through new experiences that I hadn't before. I'm still learning so much about myself and so much about life and whatever. And so I think those girl friendships are so key to life. I just think they are. They kind of make you you. So I think him kind of forcing her to keep things a secret from her friends, to me, was a huge what, and he would always make her choose. Multiple times he would be like, oh, it's me or your friends. And I'm like, let's not do that, because I will be picking the friends. Don't get this sick and twisted. You aren't who you think you are, and I will be choosing the friends. So to put Spencer in that situation multiple times really angered me. That was the one thing I did really pick up on a lot, because I'm like, why are you so annoying? Why are you doing this constantly, trying to get Spencer all to yourself and things like that? It was very, very toxic. The main thing for me was when he joined the A Team. I don't really like the cover-up. When he got revealed, it was oh, I was just doing it to protect Spencer. I hate that, because first of all, there was so much involved within that period of time which actually worsened Spencer and literally made her fall off the rails. The whole Radley visit, things like that. That none of this protected Spencer. So to use this as a cover-up, oh my god, look at the hot, sexy, protective boyfriend. No, this is not what it was. And he just did so many things that were so anti-Spencer that it's actually, you can't use that as a cover-up. That's not what we're doing here, and that's not what you're going to do here. You joined the A-Team for a reason, and it was not to protect Spencer. Within this kind of period of time, he did so many things to the liars as well, and it's okay, you can't protect Spencer and then hurt her friends and things like that. And ultimately, it really just made her fall off the rails. But specifically, the point where he faked his death and he made Spencer find his dead body in the middle of the forest, that is crazy behavior, and we will not be accepting that. I'm so sorry. You put your girlfriend through finding your dead body. She went completely off the rails. Imagine the traumatic experience of A, finding out your boyfriend is dead, and B, finding the literal dead body of your boyfriend. That is such a traumatic experience. So for him to purposefully put Spencer through that, you weren't protecting Spencer. I'm sorry. You can try and use this cover-up as much as you want to, but we all know that you were not trying to protect Spencer in this circumstance, and you actually made her so much worse, because I feel from this point, Spencer was never really the same again. It was a lot for her to take on, this period of time on the show for her, and I truly think that just altered her character so much. And as it should, we can't be shocked that she fell off the rails, and I truly think she never really got it back, really herself fully back, because so much happened during this time and during this period on the show, and Toby was such a big cause of that. Toby also admitted that Mona told him about the plan to make Spencer kind of crazy and things like that, and he went along with that. So I don't know, I'm not buying the whole protective boyfriend. I'm really not, because in this circumstance, if you would actively be trying to, hinder Mona's plan or A's plan, whoever's plan you're following, but you went by it and you stuck by it. So I don't really think or believe the whole I did it to protect Spencer. I don't really believe it, to be honest. Now, Marlene King, who was the, director of the show, whatever, she stated, so in the books, Toby actually dies very early on, but she stated that she wanted to keep Toby around because she really liked the actor, Keegan Allen. Now, I understand this, okay? Actors are great at what they do. They work very hard at what they do. However, I feel like this does set like a dangerous precedent, really, through the show, because she already kept Ezra, who was, I can't say the words here, but we all know what he was, because she liked the actor, and Ian's a great actor. Ian is not Ezra. We need to keep that in mind. However, keeping these dangerous men on the show, the characters, not the actors, just because you like the actors is very dangerous when the majority of your audience is kind of teenage girls. We've all kind of grown up now, but it's still, young women. Obviously not the whole of the audience, but like the main kind of target audience. And you're putting these girls in these relationships which are very toxic. And, we only, the fact that I'm only kind of learning more about the toxic relationship between Spencer and Toby when I'm 21 and I'm still learning about it is very dangerous, because some women won't pick up on it later on and will be in these relationships and thinks it's okay because, oh, I saw her in a TV show growing up, like it's fine. But there needs to be a line drawn between, we can appreciate this actor. This actor is good at what they do. They're good at their craft. Very, very good. But the characters should not be around for longer than they need to be. You tell your story with that character, and that is it. Personally, I would have actually killed off Toby kind of after season... I'll be nice and say season 4. I just don't think he needed to be around that long. And also, I never really saw Spencer with Toby long term. I think Spencer outgrew him completely. The period of time where she kind of becomes the main character on the show, I think her character outgrows him. I think her story outgrows him. I don't see any point in him still being here. I don't think he is right for Spencer. I think he lives a very old-fashioned way of thinking of relationships. I don't think this was helped by, when he joined the police. I think after the police stuff, he became a lot more, demanding, in control, and, he wanted things in the relationship done his way and only his way. I'm not saying this is all police, by the way, but I think... I studied sociology in school, and it's just learning about kind of the subconscious norms that take place in certain workplaces. I work in a school, so I adapt I'm quite like a I'm quite like a mothery character. Like, I want to look after people, I want to get people into education and things like that, but other workplaces have different norms that you subconsciously pick up. But I think after he joined the police, he became a lot more like, yeah, I want things done my way, and like it's my way or nothing. And like I said, he gets a bit more physically, like, I don't want to say abusive, but it was along the lines of like he was just so much more physical towards Spencer. Like I said, emotionally manipulating Spencer too. Like it didn't really, it was very uncomfortable watching it back and actually picking up on that. But I feel like as well, like once he joined the police, that was another thing. Like he said he joined the police to protect Spencer. But then when Spencer would come to him for problems and issues and things like that, he would be so dismissive, and he would be like, no, like, you're gonna ruin my job for me, like, leave me alone. Like, I don't know, I hate the cover up for Toby of he's just trying to be protective. Like, no, and like, that's okay, like, you weren't, like, at all. But Spencer didn't just take Toby's stuff, and she really fought back, and she was a very, very strong character. That is something that I really admire about Spencer's character. She always stood up for herself, so she always kind of fought back and, you know, had her voice, and she would rebel against things that he specifically, you know, wanted her to do that she didn't want to do. So I do feel like the case is Spencer completely outgrew Toby. I think Toby was only, you know, in that honeymoon period where they were together, like, still really engrossed in school, and they were still quite young. I mean, they didn't really age much on the show, but I think mentally young. Great relationship, loved it. But they did mentally mature, and I think they were going in completely different directions, and I don't really think they were made for each other. Toby very much focusing on his career, Spencer focusing on her life and things going on there. But I think Spencer is just a big character that just completely outgrew Toby. So I would have had Toby die, or I really liked Yvonne. Justice for Yvonne, by the way. I don't think Yvonne deserved anything that kind of happened to her. But I think that relationship for Toby was really great, because they were obviously focusing on having a family and that aspect of the relationship, which I think Toby was always interested in, you know. And Spencer, during that time where Yvonne and Toby were together, Spencer was, you know, focusing on her career and things like that, which is always, to me, what Spencer was presented as. But it's very interesting that the toxic relationship within it, girl, I'm getting text messages. The mum and the dad texting me at the exact same time. What's going on? But yeah, obviously our minds were completely taken over by the Ezra and Arya relationship. So this is something that I never really picked up on as much. But actually, like, watching it back, it's really interesting to see the decline of the relationship. Like, obviously at the start, it's the honeymoon period, it's great, it's amazing. But then, you know, when they're going their own ways, they're going their own pathways, they have different ideas about their relationship, and, you know, Toby's acting very uncomfortable towards Spencer in many cases. Is kind of like, okay, right, this is a lot now. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I never really saw Spencer with anybody, if I'm being honest. To me, Spencer was very much an independent character who didn't really have to rely on relationships or rely on men. So I hate whenever they presented her as, you know, relying on men or relying on relationships to be sane, because I don't think that's the character that Spencer is. I feel like that's more of a character that Hannah is, and like Arya and things like that. But Spencer is very much, a lot of the time, presented as independent, very, very strong. She carries her own kind of, you know, weight, and she wants to do well in life, and she wants to be successful and things like that. And she goes through so much on the show that you're like, wow, like, she has her stuff together. So I don't like when they presented her as, like, you know, whenever Toby would go or things like that, it would very much, like, Spencer would be like, no, I have to be in a relationship. Like, no, you don't. Like, this is not the character that you are. And it's a shame that it wasn't presented more, like, because at the end, the finale, it's not said that Spencer and Toby do definitely get back together, but it's very much, you know, it's very much hinted, especially the finale with, like, shoot me or Alex or whatever. Like, I don't know, I don't think they were made for each other. Like I said, the other relationships on the show, Hannah and Caleb were always kind of destined to be together. I hate to say it, but Arya and Ezra, I'm very against it, but because of the writers, they loved it. They were destined to be together. Alice and Emily, destined to be together, whatever. But I never saw that for Spencer and Toby. That's not a relationship that I was like, oh my god, wow. Do you know what I mean? So it's interesting now watching back and actually picking up on the fact that actually it's very toxic, and I feel like it doesn't get the space to talk about it, because obviously our minds were so consumed with other things going on and things like that, that actually this relationship was not good for either of them, but more for Spencer, because Toby was just so uncomfortable so many times. That is it for this video. I would love to know your opinion down below. By the way, if you are a fan of this ship or whatever, I'm not bashing you for liking this ship. You can like whatever ship you want to. It's just my opinion. That is all. But yeah, I'd love to hear yours down below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.